suspicious for military purposes. They urge the government to actively disclose all the information it has. China's Ambassador Chen Yonghua addressed the issue at a news conference today. The ambassador says all the structures are located in regions where no dispute exists. He says China believes there is absolutely no room for Japan to raise objections. The ambassador says China hopes to resolve relevant issues through continued dialogue with the Japanese side. Russia is reportedly planning to deploy medium-range bombers in Crimea that are capable of carrying nuclear warheads. Moscow annexed the southern Ukrainian region in March last year. The plan was disclosed by a Russian military official. It calls for stationing a squadron of Tupolev 22M3 bombers in Crimea. The official described the move as one of several countermeasures against a US plan to station a missile defence system in Romania. The deployment is likely to draw strong reactions from Ukraine, the United States and Europe. NHK editor Junko Noda says the Russian move is clearly aimed at the United States. Moscow has long objected to the US missile defence plan in Europe, saying it would undermine the region's military plans. Citing the recent nuclear accord with Iran, Russia says Washington no longer has any reason to install a missile shield in Europe to guard against Iran's nuclear threat. Moscow is apparently warning that it will deploy nuclear-capable bombers in Crimea as a way to urge the United States to withdraw its missile defence program. The government has presented its latest budget guidelines to the ruling parties. Ministries and agencies will be required to follow the guidelines when they compile budget requests for fiscal 2016. The guidelines call for capping growth in social security spending to 670 billion yen from the current year's budget. Pension, healthcare and other social security costs are the largest expenditures in the nation's budget. The guidelines say discretionary spending for public works, defence and other policies should be cut by 10% from the current fiscal year. On the other hand, the guidelines set aside a special quota up to 4 trillion yen for high priority policies that contribute to economic growth. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says that by boldly setting priorities in the budget, his government plans to fully implement its program of economic and fiscal revival. The Cabinet is due to approve the budget guidelines tomorrow. The Upper House is expected to start deliberations on national security bills. Opponents of the bills held a rally outside the Diet building today. Former Prime Minister Tomichi Murayama was among them. Murayama says although the Prime Minister is in a position of power, he should not ignore public opinion to get his own way. He says he would never tolerate such an outrageous act. A member of the Liberal Democratic Party acknowledges the need for more effort. Finance Minister Taro Aso says the bills have yet to win public understanding and there is still some misunderstanding. He says some people describe the bills as war legislation and argue that it will lead to the introduction of a drafting system. He says lawmakers need to thoroughly explain the bills to voters in their constituencies.
People who rediscover the pleasure of motorcycling after passing middle age have become known as returned riders. On the other hand, the number of fatal traffic accidents involving senior motorbike riders is on the rise. Deaths of senior riders last year were almost double the number 10 years ago. Let's take a look behind this issue. With the sputter of engines, motorcyclists head off on tours around the country. There was a popular touring program in Shikoku Riders take their bikes around the traditional pilgrimage of shrines in Shikoku. At the same time, motorcycle accidents are on the rise. Many fatal accidents involve riders in their 40s and 50s. 177 of them died in accidents last year. Death of senior riders has almost doubled from 10 years ago. Members of the National Police Agency and Industry Association met today to discuss the issue. This agency official says many people have plans to go touring in summer and in autumn, and motorcycle accidents are expected to increase. So-called return riders used to ride motorcycles when they were young, rediscovering the pleasures of motorcycling. Toshiharu Kantake is one of them. He's 60 years old. He says this photo was taken 20 years ago. He was often touring when he was in his 30s, but quit riding because he became busy at work. He recently found he had more time and money and bought a new bike in 2013 for the first time in 20 years. He says he named the bike Kuro-chan 2. Kantake says he wanted to ride his own bike one more time in his life. He says his family begged him not to ride again, but he wanted to do it in his life. Return riders are an increasing presence on the road. A survey by the Japan Automobile Manufacturers Association of new motorcycle buyers shows their average age has been growing. It was 42.7 in 2005 and increased to 51 in 2013. The editor-in-chief of a motorcycle magazine says this is now the third wave of motorcycling, as many riders in their 40s and 50s are coming back to bikes. He says they've raised their children and found they can afford expensive hobbies. He says they don't mind spending extra money for the latest model of bike or other items. However, the number of fatal motorcycle accidents involving senior riders is on the rise. The National Police Agency says so-called return riders are behind the fatal crashes. Kantake says he felt uneasy when he got back on a bike for the first time in 20 years. He says it felt different from how it used to feel. He says he was fine when riding in a straight line, but felt he was losing balance when he made sharp turns.